The CEO of Blackstone says he sees himself as more of an entrepreneur than an executive. Stephen Schwarzman has more than $500 billion of assets under management, and now he's hoping to share his success. His new book is called What It Takes: Lessons in the Pursuit of Excellence. He told Richard why buying and selling companies is a lot different from trading stocks.
You don't buy anything unless you can accelerate the growth and have a special plan. This is not like buying a stock. Buying a stock, you buy a stock, it goes up, it goes down. Before we buy anything, we get what's called technically due diligence. We get the opportunity to look at the entire company and all of its information. And we formalize a plan, and then we buy it.
Do you still get a frisson of excitement when you see a company that you can perhaps, other people are a bit down on, but you think you can do so? Does the stomach and the butterflies start going again?
Well, what happens is then you know you have a winner, because you are.
But you still get excited.
Well, it's sort of like playing basketball, and somebody throws you a ball, and you're open for a shot, and it's right when you let the ball go, you can tell the arc, and you know it's going to go in. How does that make you feel? Makes you feel good.
You say you can learn to be a leader, but you can't learn to be an entrepreneur. You can learn to be an executive.
That's right.
Which are you?
I'm more an entrepreneur, but I've learned I had to be a manager and an executive. Right. So for me, that was a learning experience. The intuitive part of starting things, seeing opportunity, getting people excited, knowing where to go. I've done that since I was really sort of a kid.
You did. I mean, you wanted your father to expand his successful linen store into some chain to rival Sears.
Yes. Well,
and he told you in no uncertain terms.
Yes. Well, he wasn't that authoritative. He's very polite. And he said, Steve, I don't want to do that. And I said, Dad, why don't you want to do it? I think we could be really successful. He said, I just don't want to do it. So I started limiting my ambitions from going nationwide to going all over Pennsylvania, which is where we were from, and he didn't want to do that. And I thought maybe he could expand over Philadelphia. He didn't want to do that. So I finally said, Dad, why don't you want to do this? It's going to work. And he said, I'm happy. I'm happy at the size we are. I have enough money to own a house, to have 2 cars, and to send you and your brothers to college. He said, I don't want any more.
Is that the lesson you've taken from your upbringing? To be happy has a value?
Well, yeah, I'm quite happy, but I still like expanding things like that. So you can be a combination of happy, but also liking challenges.
We do a lot of work on this program looking at CEOs as the moral compass these days.
Yes.
In the absence of leadership elsewhere, which I think we could probably agree there is, CEOs are having to take up the slack. Now, whether it's bathrooms in the gender bathrooms in the Carolinas, right, whether it's new laws in Texas, whatever it might be, right, CEOs, the climate issue, you can see the way governments pulled back. Is the CEO equipped to be the moral compass?
Well, that wasn't the historical job of the CEO. In the world we're living in, which is where everything is interrelated, it's pretty clear that you have to think about these types of things. And you start out, like a doctor. The credo is do no harm. You're not in the business of inflicting harm on constituencies, and that if you can help these constituencies, that's a good thing.
But do you see it as part of your role as CEO? To get your hands dirty in LGBT issues, in choice issues, and all the things that'll come up from your employees?
Well, that would be, Richard, like being a senator, where you deal with every issue. I think as a CEO, you have to have a thoughtful point of view on every issue, Whether you can act on every issue would be very unusual because you have another job as well. So I think, for example, I was at a business roundtable event. I think it was like 2014 or 2013, and Mrs. Obama came and talked about military veterans in the United States, and that about 20 of them a day were committing suicide, not in combat, but when they got back. And I sat there and I couldn't believe that. 20 people a day who survived combat killed themselves because of high unemployment and other factors. And she was asking for people to volunteer to hire veterans. So, I got back on the plane. I got to New York, and I usually have group decision-making at the firm, and I was just in a car outside my apartment, and I said, you know what? We're going to hire 50,000 veterans. And I just dictated a note to her. And not only have we hired 50,000, that was a 5-year commitment. We did it in 4, and we committed for another 50,000. Now, why did we do that? Because it was the moral thing to do. And so one of the things about being a CEO is you can't express yourself on every issue, but periodically there are issues that you think are really important, and you prioritize them, and it's almost like teaching your own people values. I think that's important.
On that final note, I'm going to ask you to choose one of your 25 rules for work and life. Now, there's 25 of them. Which one would you choose?
Well, I'd probably choose...
you can have a refresher if you need.
Yes, well, there are a lot of them. But I think one of the things, and, it's more particular to me, but I think it works for everybody, is if you're going to pick something to do in life, it should be worthy. It should be pretty grand in concept. It should be something that's pretty unique, something that excites you to the point that you're willing to dedicate, your life to making that vision, which I call a worthy fantasy, come true. And you don't have to be the head of a company. You could be somebody who's working with a nonprofit, a for-profit in your area. You can have your own small business. You can have a medium-sized business. It's something where you say, I think I can create something that's unusual, something that appeals to me sufficiently. I can be excited about this every day, and it'll find its way. It will change society. I think that's a great way to conceptualize what you do with your time.